Hey guys, I've been doing some digging around and it has taken me months and months and months, probably close to a year actually, to pull apart this thing. It's a Blackview BV9800 Pro. It's the one with the FLIR camera, all the funny bits and pieces, and a bit of a history. I have an absolute cell phone addiction, probably almost as bad as my car buying addiction. So I've been through hundreds, if not thousands, of cell phones. Most of them get resold on or given away to friends and family. But I first came across Blackview when they had it was the BV5000. It was a pretty robust, supposed to be waterproof phone, and we quickly discovered it was water resistant for a very brief period of time, but all the Blackviews have the same little issue, so I'll show you. If I can get this cover off. So the light's pretty rubbish, but if you have a Blackview, you're well aware of these little plastic rubbery cover flap things, right? Charging port on this one, the headphone ports at the top, etc, etc. And the same was true for the BV5000. And what happens is, the minute these rubber seals don't sort of fit firmly anymore, so I mean, you have to open it every time you want to charge the phone, right? That's how you get to the USB port. So every time you open those, you're wearing it out a little bit, and eventually it doesn't quite seal properly, and so the weather-resistant capabilities of the phone disappear. So my BV5000 started to get some water ingress, and it affected like the edge of the screen. It sort of got milky white. It wasn't quite as tough as they made out. They show on the videos, the promos of the phone, it being dropped onto rocks and into rivers and stuff, and it survives, and it's amazing. And it's also total bollocks. Is it tougher than a regular phone? Yes, a little bit. Is it the super strong, amazing thing that can stand up to abuse? I mean, in one of the videos, they run it over with a car and then pick it up and show you how it's going. It's not going to do that. None of these models are going to do that. It's cheap protected glass. I mean, I've got a screen protector on, and I've gone through like 3 screen protectors. It's never without its screen protector for more than like maybe 12 hours, and the screen is scratched just from having it in my pocket. And I'm very careful. I don't put my cell phones in the same pocket as my keys or anything like that. They're just not built the way they advertise. So the BV5000, I had that for like a year maybe as my primary phone, or probably slightly under that, and it started to give way. I went to Nokia after that for a wee while. I was a big fan of the Windows phones, and I'm still gutted that the Windows phone didn't sort of pan out. I think it was an absolute lost opportunity, but anyway. Then I bought a BV9700 or 9600, whatever it was, the precursor to this thing, as a non-pro. And the performance was amazing, and it lasted a day. It powered off midway through a call. It would reboot. I rebooted it after I worked out what was going on, tried to make a call, ended up with software glitches, and then the microphone and speaker wouldn't work. All of its input tests and stuff like half of them were failing, so it obviously had a hardware fault. I sent it back to Blackview saying, hey, can you look into this please? There's obviously something wrong in the design or something. Can you get it sorted out? And I'm happy for either a replacement phone or a refund. I never got either, which left a very bad taste in my mouth, and so I went off Blackview for a while. But then for work, I I didn't need, but the FLIR camera was going to be useful, and I just wasn't reading great reviews about the cat phone, the S61 or S62, and basically the only other phone that had a built-in infrared camera was this thing, the 9800 Pro. I don't know if the non-Pro has the FLIR camera, but anyway, I thought I'd go all out to get the bigger battery, more RAM, all of that sort of stuff. So that's what I've got. I bought it direct from Blackview, and these things have an inherent fault. I ran it for about a week, and it worked fine for a week, but I always hold off giving my feedback on any online stores until I've really given the phone a thorough workout. So after a week, the touch input would stop responding from time to time. And I'm sure that just in the process of, yep, it's already frozen up. There we go. So the input stops responding, but if you power it off, power it on again, it will start responding, right? And it will do that for a few minutes, and then the input will stop responding again. Now the clock still runs, it still changes time, you will get notifications, so the phone itself hasn't locked up, it just stops accepting input. And I thought, well, that's weird, maybe the digitizer's faulty. So again, I sent Blackview a message, and they said, oh, you need a software update. This is where things get really, really frustrating for any Blackview owners. And if you are a Blackview cell phone holder, it's got to drive you nuts. This thing, when it came out, was a flagship phone, right? The 9800 Pro, it was amazing. It's got like 6 gig of RAM, 256 memory, like storage and flash. It's still expandable with a SD card. It's dual SIM. You know, meant to be this amazing phone. It has never had a software update. It is still running its original software that it came out with on, if I find it here, and I'm quite happy to be proven wrong. Maybe the different models, different markets that they're designed for have different, where is it? See, everything's also, screen locked up again. Yeah, but somewhere there's about phone. Here we go, right? So there we go. Oh, sorry, it's 128. I've got the 128 gig ROM. Right, now if we go down here to software, so Android version, you can see that Android version is still 9. Everything else is on 10, and there's the build number down the bottom, right? So it hasn't had an update since the 14th of the 8th 2020, which just so happens to be about the time they bought this stupid thing. So it has, and I know that everyone's going to be going, oh, you just showed your IMEI number. Go for broke, block it. It doesn't have a SIM card in it. This is literally just a FLIR camera now that I carry around. And even then, it's frustrating because when the screen locks up, you can't take any blinking photos. So for their flagship phone, which cost like $1,000, it's never had a software update, and they've never replied to any of my problems about the touchscreen. And I thought, well, you know, again, could be broken digitizer or anything like that. Running the tests on this, everything else responds. The RAM is fine. Its GSM, LTE modules and everything all work fine. The rest of the phone is fine. The hardware is fine. Which I could test through some software, some USB debugging, and basically hooking this up to my grunty computer and pummeling it. And it is a service that runs in the background, the touch display driver, that stops. It runs into a conflict, and I haven't quite worked out what the conflict is, but basically there's software on the phone, and it looks to be something to do with the overlay to Android that Blackview put on it that interferes with the touch driver, and so it stops. And that is why when you you're not power cycling, but when you lock and unlock the phone, because that service has started again with an Android, the touch input will work for a while, and then it jams up with a software conflict and so on and so forth. Every now and then, if you just leave it, and the phone doesn't have to lock itself, but if there's like a video playing on the screen, you might find that after 5 or 10 minutes or so, the touch input will recognize any input. But again, it only does it briefly and it locks up again. So, and it took me forever to work this out. I'm thinking it's the screen protector I have on it. I was thinking maybe something, my fingers. I don't always have the best of luck with like fingerprint scanners and stuff like that. And Blackview, again, absolutely no help. They told me to do a software update when there is no software update for the damn thing. And they said, oh, we'll send it back to us. And I said, well, you still actually have my 96 or 9700. Can I have that back? Can you repair that? Send it back to me. It was like a motherboard fault, I think. Can you send that back to me? And then I might be willing to hand over this thing. And basically all went dark. So I thought, well, I'm down yet another Blackview phone, and that's the end of that. I've kept checking online, and initially, because I was a very early adopter, and I buy like pre-release phones, and that's fine. I expect some bugs. But even as of 4 months ago, I'm just looking at the forum now. As of 4 months ago, there are still people asking why not only their 9800 Pro, but a whole ton of other Blackview phones, the touch suddenly stops responding. And so this is a common fault. The last update from Blackview was 7 months ago saying, our engineers are going to look into it. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're a dishonest company, and you are lying to your customers who are paying good money. They're not looking into it. It's what would be, for the company who designed the software, it would be a very easy fix. Don't make any dependencies, or just have it automatically restart the service every 25 seconds or so, which would moderately adjust the battery life. But to be fair, these things have such colossal batteries. I mean, even when it was my primary phone with 2 SIM cards in it, it would still last 2 or 3 days between charges, and I pummel my phones. I really use them hard. So yeah, they're not looking into it. You're not ever going to be upgraded from Android 9. You're not even getting a firmware update, because, like I say, from the 8th month of 2020, if they haven't done anything now, we're in the nearly 4th month of 2022. If you haven't given it any update, knowing that there's a problem with the firmware, you're not going to. So, with that in mind, I'm never buying another Blackview phone. And whilst I used to recommend them, I used to actually buy them in and resell them. Luckily, I got out when the 5500 came out. Not too many people had problems with some of the entry level stuff, which was surprising. There were complaints about the cameras and bits and pieces, and again, we later found out Blackview are telling fibs. There's I forget the model, but they've got, up here they've got 3 cameras. I think it's a 6600 or somewhere around that. But they got 3 cameras up the top in a single row. And the camera on the far left doesn't do anything. It's a fake camera. They have, people have disassembled these phones. That model, I've disassembled hundreds of these things of various flavours, but not that particular one. But people have disassembled them and had a look, and it's just a plastic filler. The camera's not real. And Blackview say, well, we never said that camera's real, we just do it for aesthetics. Well, you don't put an entire extra camera module in there and for aesthetics. That's just daft. They try to claim that, hey, they're going to look after everybody with warranties and that nothing's ever an issue. Well, they still have my phone that they haven't sent back. I'm still yet to... I don't need to physically send this to them. I've got the logs, and I'm quite happy to send them all the logs. All the debugging info, everything. I can give it to... It is a software problem, and they know that it's a software problem. I don't need to physically send them the phone. There's nothing that they're going to do to it anyway. But they're not willing to issue refunds or replacements. A replacement would be no good because they haven't fixed the driver. So if you have a 9800 or a 9800 Pro, because they run very similar firmware, it's just the application for running the infrared camera that's different, and your touch stops responding, I wish I could help. I wish I could rewrite the driver, but without some of the software and firmware from Blackview themselves, I can't rewrite anything that will actually make that work. I can't disassemble it enough to write a new driver for it. There might be somebody out there much cleverer than I who is able to do that, but yeah, at this point I don't have a fix for you. So your phone will always be the way it is. My solution would be close any background apps so that the driver runs into its conflict less often. I get the feeling it's an API call that the Android system is making to something else, or something that the Blackview overlay is making to the Android system. I think it's an API call that it makes that jams it up, and it doesn't appear to be any consistent timing. Sometimes it's 5 seconds between lockups, sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes I can have a couple of minutes, sometimes I can have... I think the longest I've had recently is about 15 minutes from screen power on to input failing to digitize it, failing to take input. So yeah, if you have one of those, just try locking and unlocking your screen. It'll give you some period of time of input working possibly. If you're looking at buying any Blackview phone, just don't. I've been through, like I say, for my daily drivers, I've run 4 or 5 Blackview phones. This would be the 5th Blackview phone, and they don't last. They are not interested in offering any support. You don't get updates. Like I say, this is meant to be, when this thing came out, flagship phone, and it hasn't had a single software or firmware update. It's just absolutely mental. See, I've unlocked it. I've just unlocked it, and it's still frozen up. There we go. We can get into the settings now. I'm just trying to find the nothing in the developer options sorts it out either. There are people who thought that maybe that would be the case, but it's unfortunately not. Where are we? Phone. Yeah, no, I was trying to show the update system, which doesn't work either, funnily enough. So yeah, stay the heck away from these things. If Blackview want to respond and try and sort out, the issues that everyone's having, sure, go for it. And there'd be a lot of people that would be very happy if you did sort it out. I'm just looking at there's a 9900 Pro, and people have been having the same problems. It's just ridiculous. I think what happened with these is they were kind of halfway between using Android with just an overlay to going to their, what do they call it, Doki software, and I think this phone and the 9900 got stuck in the middle and have just been forgotten about. There's I'm just on the website, and it just goes to show how much they recycle like the chassis and stuff for this phone. This phone here looks like the exact same chassis with the exact same button layout. Like they've put a slightly different rear cover on it, but the 8800 looks like it's on the same chassis. There's this Oscal thing, which looks like a stripped down version of the 8800. They have tablets, they have watches, there's all this stuff that I'm just like, why? Why are they still trying to sell stuff when they have serious issues? Just trying to find the 5500. Yeah, it was the last ones that I bought over and it wasn't working out. The 9900 Pro is supposed to be an update to this. And again, it's got the FLIR camera built in. But that, for, again, their new flagship phone, is running, I just see Android 10. They haven't moved on to Android 11 yet. It's got a heart rate monitor and underwater camera mode. I doubt very, very much that it's going to last underwater, because it's in the same frame, again, as this phone, but with all the ruggedization taken out of it. Just no. So, yeah. Blackview, feel free to respond, and please sort out the software and firmware on your phones. I'm going to keep trying to work on the driver to basically try and reverse engineer it and come up with something that's going to work, because we know it's the software issue. We even know what the software is. It's just trying to rewrite it and reincorporate it into what is not a stock Android system, because Blackview have fiddled with it. If somebody's looking for a phone recommendation at the moment, there's never one size fits all. What I am running at the moment is this thing. I don't really fall for this Apple and Samsung flagship stuff. Don't know if you can see it and how wonderful the light is. It's a Black Shark 4, and it's kind of an amazing wee phone. I don't do heavy gaming. I don't play any of this Call of Duty or anything like that. But it's got these little triggers here, which are designed for gaming, so I don't know if you can see them pop up. I'll try and see they physically retract. And the best thing is they're designed for gaming, which is great, and I've tried them out on a few games that I play World of Warships and World of Tanks, and so I have those as my steering buttons. But for the most part, you can assign them to do other jobs. So, for example, my top button is my screenshot button, and my bottom button is my flashlight. So, if I flip it up and then just tap this button down here, it turns the light on and off. And then it always warns you to retract the buttons when you're not using them. So, probably a wise thing to do. But yeah, I picked that thing up for it was like $450 or $500 or something. It's got, I'm not sure how much RAM. It's never slow, put it that way. It has 6 gig of RAM. It has an octa-core 3.2 processor. It runs Joy UI over Android 11. I can't fault this phone. It has never glitched out on me. Reception is usually pretty good. It's a dual SIM phone. You can't add a SD card to it. I think maybe you can, but then you'd lose a SIM card slot. I'm not entirely sure. I don't have a SD card in it anyway. The 128 onboard storage is more than enough for me. So yeah, if anyone's looking for my phone recommendation, knowing how many phones I go through, Black Shark's pretty good. It's a Xiaomi product, so a bit of support there as well. But yeah, so if anyone's hunting around, you've probably found this video by looking for Blackview 9800 Pro problems. You're probably looking at that touch input, and so yes, sorry. The definitive answer is Blackview don't care and are not going to fix it. It's up to the community to try and fix it themselves, which I think is appalling. And that's the problem. It's not hardware, so don't go wasting your time trying to replace the digitizer. If your local repair guy is saying, hey, we'll try putting a new screen in, don't waste your time and money. It's not going to help. It's that driver issue. If that was remedied, it would actually be a really good phone, which is what frustrates me the most. But yes, so if you found this video and that's what you're looking for, that's the problem, and there is no known fix yet. And if somebody wants to help me work on writing a new driver for it, that would be amazing. But like I say, at this stage, I've got a few too many projects on. This is just a pet phone for me. Like I say, I use it for thermal imaging, and once the application's loaded, because I don't need the touch input unless I'm taking a photo, I can actually do my work and find my electrical faults and bits and pieces that way. So hopefully we come up with a resolution. If so, I will leave it in the comments below. So if you have one of these things and you're waiting for an update, I don't know, subscribe to the channel or something, or leave a comment that we can reply to, and we'll try our best to come up with a resolution. But I wouldn't hold your breath. It could be fatal. And like I say, even if we get that sorted, whilst the phone would then be relatively, it'll be up and running, you still got a phone that's stuck on Android 9. So another potential solution could be running an aftermarket ROM on it, flash it with something else, which is potentially something that I'm going to try if I know that I can keep the FLIR capabilities of it. So, or replace it with a different phone that's got an infrared camera. So yes, sorry for the bad news. Like I say, I will keep you guys updated if we do get that driver sorted. And best of luck. We'll see you in the next video.